Exclusive.
A Texas man accused of pimping on a 16-year-old minor had his day in court. The 3-day trial went horribly wrong for Mr. DeAndre Jaquay Dorsey, who was 33 at the time of his conviction. Dorsey was accused of forcing a 16-year-old runaway into prostitution into the Bissonnet Strip and repeatedly threatening to kill her if she didn't have sex for money. He repeatedly forced the minor to have sex with strangers for money, and anyone who does that deserves decades in prison. So says the Harris County District Attorney Kemp. Somebody out there knows where he is and could collect a reward for doing the right thing. The teen said she eventually escaped long enough to borrow a cell phone and call her mother. Her mother contacted the Harris County Sheriff's Office, who investigated the case, and after her mother made that call, Dorsey was arrested a short time later. Kanisha Day said that he is a dangerous pimp, and now he is somewhere in the wind. She went on to say, when the victim showed up to testify, you could just see that Dorsey knew that he was going to prison. Court record shows that prosecutors had required that Dorsey be held without bond pending trial. He was labeled as a flight risk, but however, District Judge Shawn Jones thought otherwise, and he had Dorsey released on bond. And they haven't seen the defendant since. He hadn't come back to court after the first day of trial. Harris County District Attorney Kim Odd and Crime Stopper CEO Renier Mancreas and the Director of Victim Services Andy Kahn and Crime Stoppers board member and human trafficking advocate Jennifer Holman joined forces to ask the public to find him, saying,
So Andy talked to you a little bit about the perpetrator, and I'm going to try to provide for you the perspective of a victim or a survivor of this atrocity. I want you to take yourself back to when you were 16 years old, 14, 12, and even 9, where we found children that have been taken out of the hands of these perpetrators. Imagine what your life's like at that point, right? You're having a good time, you're going to school, you're meeting other people, but then you meet DeAndre. And imagine being forced to have sex with multiple men a day and someone else taking the money for that act. A child that doesn't even have the ability to consent to have sex was forced by this man to do this. They caught him. They had a chance to put him away, but they gave him a bond. And then we had a judge that continuously lowered his bond, and bondsmen these days give you not only payment plans, but it's no longer 10%, but it's 5% down, and you can do a payment plan. They ask you to testify. They ask you to face the man that probably forced you to the most horrible thing that you can imagine in your life, with your parents not around, with people to help you, and you don't feel safe. At this point, this little girl, 16-year-old girl, her holidays are screwed. And now you're going to let this perpetrator off, let him go, and be free to spend time with his friends and family over the holidays.
There's no more dangerous person for law enforcement to arrest than a wanted fugitive who knows he's looking at a very long time behind bars, Og said. There's nothing more frustrating for our prosecutors to work up a case, work with the victim, and have her testify only to see the defendant flee on a minuscule bond that shouldn't have been set at all. Court record shows that prosecutors requested Dorsey be held without bond pending the trial due to his previous conviction of robbery in Michigan. Records also state Dorsey was a flight risk and a danger to the Harris County community and the team. Still, Judge Shawn Jones granted and reduced Dorsey's bond from $50,000 to $25,000. And then he felt that wasn't enough, so he went even further to reduce it to $15,000, which was reachable for the defendant to make bond. A news outlet spoke with Jones, who said he is not sure what went through Dorsey's mind that caused him to run, but often a person is put on trial while they are out on bond, and this didn't happen. Khan said,
I just can't fathom the logic of how you think this is in the best interest
of public safety to release a defendant on that low of a bond for these serious, egregious cases, considering human trafficking is the scourge of everybody, and we're given the quote, the moniker, the human trafficking capital of the world. And now, Crime Stoppers has to cough up to a $5,000 reward for any information leading up to the arrest of this. And we know somebody out there knows where he is. There is no ifs, ands, or buts. So do the right thing, and let's get this person in custody and send the message out.
This is DeAndre Jaquay Dorsey, considered to be a pimp with a prior robbery conviction in Michigan. In this case, he's found guilty of forcing a 16-year-old runaway girl to have sex for money on the Bissonnette Strip, repeatedly threatening to kill her if she didn't comply. Officials say the girl escaped long enough to borrow a cell phone and call her mother, who called Harris County Sheriff's Office investigators, and Dorsey was arrested. Now, the judge gave him a bond reduced from $50,000 to $15,000, and while Dorsey did show up for the first day of the trial, he disappeared after that. At the end of the 3-day trial, the judge sentenced Dorsey to 40 years in prison, but by then, he was nowhere to be found. And now some crime victims advocates, critical of the bond system, are doubling down on their stance. We should also mention that the Harris County District Attorney's Office pleaded with the 180th District Court to keep Dorsey in custody, as he was previously considered to be a flight risk. But instead, Judge Shawn Jones reduced his bond to just $15,000, and now the manhunt for Dorsey is on again. Crime Stoppers offering a reward of $5,000 for any information that can lead to his arrest.